happy to welcome incumbent councilor Colin LePage, running for re-election to the City Council. Welcome, Colin.
Thank you, Frank.
You know, I'm going to ask you this question. As an incumbent, and how many, this is going to be which?
Hopefully this will become my fourth term.
Your fourth term, very good. You know, running as an incumbent, can you tell me what you learned from voters during this election time? Like, what's on their mind? Because I would imagine that they've got some things on their mind, but when it comes to election time, hey, they want to tell you about it.
Well, I think I go door to door during election season, so it's not all year round, but we're always approachable during the year. So folks email us, they phone us and leave messages and get in touch with us. I notice going door to door, I'll hear more things. There are people who probably won't reach out before, but now it's like, oh, while you're here, can I point out something is happening that, you know, they have a little complaint, but they just don't go and either contact City Hall or us directly. So in those matters, we just go and talk to the folks and then send something off to, if it's the DPW or the mayor, whoever's office is, and rectify it. So in some ways, it's very beneficial to folks as I'm knocking on doors, as it can't solve all the problems, but at least they're being heard, and maybe there's a little more of an emphasis on solving their problem. Like I said, it's very individualistic. It's usually not, you know, we have a lot of other issues to take on, but the individuals who have something about tree limbs here or something like that, those things come up that, you know, it's important to them, and they don't bring it usually to a level, but now someone going door to door, you know, I get that information and I pass it on to the appropriate department.
This is very interesting. So you're suggesting maybe councilors go out on campaigning maybe at least once every quarter, door to door. Sounds like a good idea.
I will do it myself. I wouldn't recommend it for all the other councilors. No.
You know, as head of the Administration and Finance Committee, you know, what dollar challenges do you think are confronting the city of Haverhill? Because the city council approves the budget that the mayor happens to bring forth, and that being the case, what particular items do you happen to have that you consider dollar challenges, either now or on the horizon?
Well, I mean, we know of all the ones that we've had for quite some time. You know, we would deal with the Hale debt. We deal with folks as far as pensions and hiring folks. Unfortunately, we don't, in my opinion, have enough folks in some of the departments that we have. I mean, we've been running very, very lean, which is a great strategy. I know in my professional life, my company, the same thing, we do that. But sometimes what happens is then someone goes on vacation. And it's so early when you ask about going door to door, also we'll hear that so-and-so's department didn't get back to someone because they had a question because it's just not well staffed.
Spread too thin. Spread
too thin, so some things happen. And it's very efficient in great regards. I mean, we just recently had the fire, and that we've been depleted as far as having fire and police. They do an excellent job, and it shows what happened in that and how being planned effectively. But sometimes the customer service, and I won't say, you know, happens at City Hall and other places that you don't fully feel you're getting all the attention because there isn't enough folks there.
But they're doing the best they can.
They're absolutely doing the best they can. I'm in City Hall an awful lot. I walk in and talk to departments. Things come up on our agenda. I ask questions to find out more about it, an item that's on the agenda or upcoming event. So I know how hard they all work, and it's a testament to them. It's just sometimes you'd like to see that there's a little more so they wouldn't have to work so hard. I mean, there's a lot of time and hours put in that folks don't really realize that those folks are doing.
You know, in that same vein, if I can ask you, there's a bit of controversy not too long ago when city council and school committee people happened to go ahead and approve a raise for themselves, along with, I guess it was department heads in City Hall. The question was that given the fact that the people that are rank and file, the ones that are on the front lines dealing with the public every day, they were bypassed for that type of a raise. And in the private sector, as you know, a lot of times a CEO or a supervisor will say that he won't ask anybody to do anything that he wouldn't put himself in place of as well. That being the case, have you gotten any repercussions from that or any feedback from that, given the fact that in many cases in the past, I believe when raises have been voted for elected officials, they've said that this will take effect in the next election cycle rather than do that presently to take care of themselves. Do you know what I'm saying?
So in the past, in the time that I've been on the council, there was one time where they raised the what they call the stipend. And I believe the school committee's done that recently also. I myself, I didn't vote for it. And there was a couple other councils at the same time. We do that. That's been done in budget negotiations, or when we're going through that in the finalization. What I've done in the budget is I've always looked to see what is in excess or shouldn't be appropriated in some locations. So to speak to that, 2 years ago, I found, at the time they didn't like the word found, so I identified there was 200,000 that was in excess of an account. It was revenue that we would normally get that wasn't put in there.
Okay.
So now, not putting it there, would, at the end of the year, you would also do their budgeting and see, oh, here's a surplus that we didn't budget for.
Right.
So we used that money, and it actually was used for the benefit of the taxpayers, because when the mayor taxed under, and the council approved the limit 2 years ago, and then this past year, some of that money that I identified was used there. And again, this past budget season, I identified
To sort of
another.
offset that, to sort of offset any increase, right?
So if it was, like I said, if it stayed where it was and wasn't appropriate, then it would fall to the general fund and then use something else. So the whole thing with the budget is to think of, there's this fixed amount of money, and then it's just a matter of how you want to allocate it amongst all these many departments. Like I said, so do we have enough people here? If you hire someone, how much is it versus outsourcing?
Yeah.
You know, so you need to weigh that cost and those
Right.
things. So when we look at things, most of the budgets are submitted to us, all the departments have gone through them. We review them. I wouldn't say it's a micromanagement of it, but there's questions asked of what's going on. You look at past years, and you look at what trends are. Like I said, in the last few budget cycles, I've looked and identified 200,000 that wasn't put on the revenue side. It was underreported. So we're able now to say, okay, instead of that happening at the end of the year and say, oh, there's a bonus money, we could use that money for something else during the year that we should have. And like I said, the mayor and the council approved that we gave under the budget. This past year, I identified over 100,000 in another account that actually is now was allocated or was being suggested to be used for a health teacher, because in the school committee now, going from city council to school committee in their budget, we saw that they had a deficiency in one of their goals of hiring middle school health teachers, and they've had that for quite some time, and they wanted to have two, and we're able to, the money that I identified was able to put towards one, and that
So
that
it's
took a little
mixing-
longer. So there was
It's
a little
mixing
bit
and
there.
matching priorities to what's available,
Yes.
I guess. So, you
It's
know,
what everyone does in their own home is,
Sure.
you know, they take home their paycheck and is, how much can I afford to pay towards my rent or mortgage and food and what
and
I'm
I'll
going to
just
do.
ask, because it's just coming up on time very shortly, just when do you think rank and file, not to hold you to it, because this would be something, I guess, negotiated through other unions, maybe, but when do you think rank and file would be able to see some sort of an increase in their compensation, given
No.
the, you know, I'm talking people that are frontline, that are working in the offices, that are working out in the field, that maybe did not happen to get the benefit of any raise, but their supervisors did.
Well, so as far as City Hall,
Yeah.
they've all recently all come under contract. So when I first started on the council, there was virtually no one was under contract. So now they have been. I know, you know, the school teachers and with the school committee, again, that's separate because they negotiate. The one thing with the city council, we don't negotiate any of these contracts. We just see them at the end. We're not the ones as far as teachers or anyone in City
Understand.
Hall and police.
Understand.
So we've only had it one time where it almost came to where the firefighters and the mayor could not come to a decision, and it went to arbitration, would have gone to the council, but again, they fully negotiated. So all we really have at that time is
In about 30
to pass that budget.
In less than 30 seconds, the last question I have only time to ask you is that having to do with pensions. Are pensions the big gorilla that's going to be in the room down the road? We're going to have to try to take care of somehow.
I won't say, I mean, we know about it, so it's not been identified. We have that, we have the hail debt, so we know there's quite a few. It's just a matter of, you know, taking care of them. But we have done a little bit better with that. We have been putting money aside, and the board themselves does a very good job as far as
But it's
investing.
going to be a challenge, and you are up for it.
Oh, absolutely.
Thanks. Colin LePage, running for re-election to the Haverhill City Council. Thanks very much. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you
We'll
very
be
much,
back-
Frank.
We'll be back in just a moment.